new here, my name is Ashley. I'm getting double jaw surgery. I've had my braces on for about a year and a month at this point. It's becoming so much more real now. Go and get my final records, which I of course will be taking you along the way. I'm back at the orthodontist. I got another surgery date, which is as of right now in April, but I don't know if that's going to stand because I need to get my final records, and today is the start of getting my final records. I have officially had my surgery wires in for exactly 3 weeks, and so I'm going in and my orthodontist is going to take some scans and send them off to my surgeon, and then next week, hopefully, I'm going to go down and see my surgeon to get some more final records, and then from there, we'll be able to confirm whether or not I have a surgery date for sure. Erica's coming with me to the orthodontist this morning because they got Invisalign and they need to reschedule so that they can come with me to my surgery. I just got out of my appointment with my orthodontist. We did the scans and I have to go back in 4 weeks to get the kind of hooks and things put on so that they can rubber band my mouth shut, but all seems good and I'm really excited to go down to LA and see the surgeon next week.
Thursday. Ideally that should be towards the latter part of the week.
He scanned me this past Thursday, so I was just there. I think that's all. I'm really excited. I'm so happy that all of this is coming together, so I'm looking forward to the scheduling of the appointments this week. We just landed in LA. We're gonna go see a centric relation record person. I don't exactly know what his expertise is, but I know that we're getting a centric relation record, and then I use that to have in my medical grade CT scan tomorrow morning. So Eric and I are gonna do that, and then we're gonna drive to Arcadia. We're gonna get some dinner, and then we're gonna sleep, and we're gonna do a full day tomorrow. San Francisco. Two. So yes, we came down to get all of my final records before I have double jaw surgery.
Oh goodness. A little bit back further. 97.7, thank you.
Irrespective of where your teeth come together.
Okay.
So what was your...
Oh, much more than right now.
Open please. Close softly, but don't bite all the way. That's the advantage of coming from a...
Gonna go? Eric and I woke up in Arcadia this morning and we are going to go get my medical grade CT scan first, and then we're going to go get a surgery medical clearance in the afternoon, and then we're going to go see my surgeon and do a 3D MD scan, which is essentially going to put together my CT scan and x-rays with my soft tissues, so we're going to be able to project what I'm actually going to look like. We went yesterday to a dentist and a perostodontist who does implants and stuff, so he was able to give me a centric relation record, which is essentially just this wax thing which has my mouth impressions on it. So you put it in your mouth. And it's to hold my mouth in place when I do the medical grade CT scan to make sure that my joint is in place. And then he made a backup one, which is this little silicone one. The silicone one doesn't feel as good as the wax one, but we're gonna see if the technicians at the medical grade CT scan have any issues, and so I'll be able to use either or. So let's go! We just got out of the medical grade CT scan, which was so interesting because I had never done one of those before. It was one where you lay down and you go into the big dome, and then I had to hold the thing in my mouth, and they sent me off with the record so that I could give it to my surgeon, and he will use this to then plan my actual surgery.
My sister's getting jaw surgery soon, and so we're here with her surgeon.
I got out of my medical clearance appointment and they did an EKG, they drew my blood, they did a urine sample, he listened to my heart and lungs and then asked me a bunch of questions about the surgery, just about my general health, what other surgeries I've had. Sounds like it's all going to be good, but what I didn't know is that I was going to need a chest x-ray, and he said the reason for that was that he just likes to have like the documentation of what happens in your chest before you go into surgery, because if there is that chance that fluid gets into your lungs and you need to go to the ER when they do a chest x-ray, then you'll be able to say, hey, like this wasn't in her lungs before she had surgery, and so then they can provide better care. So that was an unforeseen appointment that we're gonna try to squeeze in before our flight today at 6 p.m. It's like almost 2 o'clock right now. I go see my surgeon and we're going to do the 3D MD scans, which is the soft tissue that is going to kind of project what I'm actually going to look like and how the body is going to function. And then I'm going to try to do a walk-in x-ray for my chest after my appointment with my surgeon, and then we're gonna drop off the rental car and then go back to the airport. So fingers crossed all of that works out, because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get an x-ray when I'm back up where I live, because I'm in Southern California right now. So we will see, but if I could get all of that done in the 2 days that we were here, I will be so happy. Oh, 2:15.
I did. Thank you. Yeah, so just, okay. So it's kind of thing. Yeah.
That's so cool. And so then when you put all the data together, then it's all going to talk to each other, right?
Yeah, so this has got a surface topography, so to speak. It's got a surface, and
Got out from my surgeon doing the 3D MD scan. He also took 2D images and then some measurements of my lips and my teeth, and then we went over a lot of my aesthetic preferences. Obviously, when he imports all the data of the medical grade CT scan, he's going to be able to see the airway and the soft tissues, along with importing that with the 3D MD scan. I'm so excited to see all of it together. He has a pretty good idea of what he wants to do, but of course, once all the data is in the computer and we start doing the planning sessions, because it's going to be custom hardware, we'll have a better idea of what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, what the entire plan and process is. I wasn't able to get the chest x-ray that the medical clearance doctor had wanted me to get, but because my surgery got pushed out a week, then I'm going to be able to do that once we come back to Southern California, and that'll be even closer to my surgery, which will be better for my records. So I'm so excited, and now Eric and I are going to go catch a flight at 6 p.m. and thank goodness it is John Wayne Airport, so it's super easy and quick, but all went well. We are back from LA, and I am getting my last dentist appointment before I go in for double jaw surgery. This is just like a regular cleaning. I get 2 of them a year with the insurance that I have. And then next week I go and I get the hooks on. I am having like the worst clenching I've had in a really long time. Through this entire process, I've talked about this before with the delayed gratification, is I'm not getting Botox. I removed all of my filler that I could, and I'm just kind of like letting my face and body do what it's going to do. But the reason that I got Botox in the first place wasn't even for aesthetics. It was for my masseters, and my masseters are so tight these days, and I'm really hoping that after double jaw surgery that minimizes and goes down. I am a little bit nervous during the healing process. I know that the anesthesia that they use is delayed, like it goes throughout like I think for the first 3 days, so that it keeps you kind of like groggy and numb, and obviously you're like cutting through your mouth, so you're going to be numb and have to like relearn and get that feeling back. But I'm scared that I'm going to be clenching even after my surgery. I don't really know. I need to look into this, and I need to talk to my surgeon, because I'm not only clenching in my sleep, but I'm clenching throughout the day, where I'm catching myself and I'm like, okay, why do I have such like a weird feeling in my head? Why do I have such a weird feeling in my neck? And I'm like, oh, I'm literally clenching so badly. And sometimes when I'm trying to fall asleep, I can feel my jaw like almost like if you've done Molly or meth, like not that I've done meth, but like it kind of like goes back and forth and does its own thing, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And it's almost like grinding, but the teeth weren't touching when that happened, so I can just feel the body trying to grind even if it's not actually grinding. And I know that it's grinding in my sleep, because if I'm clenching, I'm definitely grinding, which makes me like, the reason I wanted to get this jaw surgery in the first place is for the long-term health benefits. And I think back on my dad, who would grind and had such big masseters to the point where he would break his teeth. teeth. And so along this process, going to all of the medical professionals that I need to get my records and to just make sure that everything is in order, I am explaining these things to them and they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, like good thing that you're getting this surgery. So I'm getting really excited. We are less than a month out. We're probably like 28 days, 27 days out, and it almost doesn't feel real because I haven't had a planning session yet. And so I think that once I have a planning session, we'll know for sure my surgery date. It was at first April 7th, and then it got pushed to around April 15th with my surgeon wanting to make sure that the people that he needed in the operating room were available, and obviously the surgical room was available, but it might get pushed. I'm really hoping that it doesn't. This is like one thing about jaw surgery and double jaw surgery, orthodontic surgery, that I saw online and talked to the people that I have met in person, where this is kind of how it goes, because one, you have to make sure that you're working with your orthodontist to make sure that everything is settled and ready to go, and they do it to your surgeon's preferences. And then also planning the surgery. As much as I want the surgery, I don't want it to be rushed in the planning process. And something that I really appreciate about this surgeon, which again, I've talked about this before, is really interested in my aesthetic preferences and my aesthetic outcomes, because obviously he does operations on all different gender expressions, and different gender expressions have different preferences. And so for me, I'm just trying to think about what's going to look good with my anatomy. I want to look proportionate. I want to look, like I have really good bone structure. And something that I was very honest with him about is that I want my soft tissues to have a really great foundation to age very gracefully and very naturally. I'm not saying that I'm not doing that now. I'm 30, and I think that my skin and my face are in quite incredible condition, considering I haven't really had injectables in at least a year, if not a year and a half, 2 years. And so I just want that to continue. And I think that obviously with a good foundation, that's when you are going to age more gracefully and in a more healthy way. That's why longevity is a really big deal to me. And so it's so funny. Obviously, I'm really excited. This has become my entire personality. So I'm not shameful about telling anyone what I'm doing, why I have braces. And I was talking to my jeweler. I just got back some pieces that I had him customize from some pieces that were my dad's. And I was just telling him like, oh yeah, we're going to be in LA because I'm getting a surgery. And so then he was opening up about how he has sleep apnea. And so I think that it's just really great to be able to be honest and transparent about this entire process. Obviously, I've shared it online, and there are critics online saying that like, you don't need to worry about aesthetics, you don't need to worry about beauty, like if you're so feminist, why are you worrying about these things? And it really is more than just aesthetics. It's about lifestyle and how you want to exist in your body. And I am somebody who is such an advocate for changing the things you can to be more comfortable in your body. I feel like that's the epitome of transness, of taking ownership of what you want to feel like and going after that. So who am I to judge? So I'm gonna go into my dentist appointment for just my typical cleaning, and I will see you probably when I get my hooks, unless I have something more to yap about. Everything at my dentist appointment went pretty well. I do have a little bit of inflammation on my back teeth because I am double band. So 2 molars in the back have metal bands on them, so that's just causing a little bit of inflammation because there's so much surface area near my gums. I have been trying to take care of that, obviously with like a more extensive oral routine. Today I go in to get my surgical hooks on, which is like the very last step from my orthodontist before she sends me off to surgery. Later today I also have a surgical planning session with my surgeon and then a technical engineer, where we're going to go over the plan or start the plan and make sure that everyone is on the same page. He has taken my aesthetics into consideration, and then obviously opening my airway and making sure that the function of the mouth is going to be what it needs to be. It's really interesting because I have been following a couple gals on TikTok just to like make sure that I am well versed in what's going to happen with double jaw surgery. Obviously everybody's body is different, but one of the gals that I'm following, and she's I think like 2 or 3 weeks post-op right now, her surgeon doesn't share surgical plans. She was like, I had to beg my surgical coordinator for her to send them to me, and that is so the opposite of my experience. I am very much involved in my surgery planning, so it's just interesting how different surgeons operate. So I'm very grateful that my surgeon has me a part of the process so that I am well informed on what I'm doing with my body. I have completely centered my life around this surgery, so I'm very much invested in it. Eric and I go down to LA next week, and we are officially 20 days out from surgery, so hopefully it doesn't get pushed any later later than that. I don't believe it will unless we have difficulty with surgery planning and then ordering custom hardware, because that is also why I went to the surgeon where he uses custom hardware. He could use like generic hardware and kind of make up his plan in the surgery room, but he likes to pre-plan and make sure that it is completely customized for each person. So I'm gonna go get my surgery hooks and then we will see you later for surgery planning. Good morning. Good, how are you? Yay. Thank you. I got out of my orthodontist appointment and oh my gosh, these hooks that they put on my mouth are so big. My hooks on my other brackets are gonna count as like the hooks that are needed for my surgery, but these ones down here, I don't know if you can like really see them, but like they're hooks, and then one of these ones has like a little bit longer of a wire and like my lips are already cut up. I was talking with the ortho tech before the orthodontist came over, because the orthodontist was the one that actually like put the hooks on my brackets, and I was just telling her about obviously doing all this research, documenting the entire process and how long it has taken. I've had my braces on for a year and 3 months, and it'll be a year and 3.5 months by the time I actually go down to surgery. This has been such a long process, and I talked about this a lot on TikTok about being a delayed gratification glow up, because obviously I want the health benefits of this, but I'm at the point now where I'm feeling so impatient almost, or antsy, and I don't know if that's just because I'm getting closer to the surgery and I'm being a little bit anxious about that. But as the videos I've seen on TikTok, I need to be prepared for any scenario. I can be prepared for healing really well. I need to be prepared for not healing very well, having complications. I have to really be in a mental headspace to accept what comes, and I think that me being terminated from my position unexpectedly from my job added on top of this, like there has been a lot of stress in my body, and I have been going to acupuncture because I'm clenching a lot, and so I'm just really hopeful that I am mentally strong enough. I know that I am. I've done hard things before, but this is a surgery that really does change your life, and all the information that I have seen or other people that have talked about it said it was like the hardest thing that they've ever done. So I am really curious to see how I handle it personally. I feel as though I've been trying to de-stress along the way, but it's getting a little bit more real. We leave next week, and as much as I'm excited, I think that the surgery planning session today will change how I'm feeling, will get me a little bit more optimistic, but I'm just feeling like I want to get it over with already, because this has been a little bit longer than I expected. I mean, I wanted to have this surgery before the end of 2024, and now we're 3 months in, almost at the end of March in 2025. So the longer everything is prolonged, the longer the healing takes, the longer I have my braces on, and the longer I have to wait until I can do other things that are a part of my normal life. Obviously, like I'm gonna want to work out, it's gonna be summer, so I'm just really hoping it doesn't impede on too much of my life. So I'm gonna have to really learn to be adaptable in this way when it's like your physical health is on the line. And we've seen it before, but I talk about it often, where with Eric, you can become disabled at any moment, and this is what it's going to be like of not being like fully able-bodied during this process. And so it gives you really a grounding essence of what it means to be human. It is very delicate, so there's just like a lot of feelings and thoughts that are going through my mind. But yeah, these are not going to be the most fun things to deal with, but we'll come back at the surgery planning.
Look at that bite.
She wasn't done.
So we'll start with just the one piece osteotomy.
Her jaw is like swinging. You see what I'm saying?
Bring it forward.
So this is forward 8, and then that'll be, it'll show up with the, we're down on the left about 0.5 millimeter.
Show me the frontal view. So you have what we call a tripoded bite. This is no chin, right?
So this is now no chin.
That's no chin. Okay.
You know what? I kind of like this better, to be honest.
I kind of do too, because I feel like it lines up really beautifully and still gives my nose like a definition that I like.
What is the chin's coming forward? What now? 19 millimeters?
That soft tissue wasn't junk skier.
I'm going to graft that and blend it into your cheekbones so you have more fullness in your midface.
And I definitely, at the 3/4 view, I like the jawline. I think the bone structure looks great with the, with the chin level.
Yeah, see, it looks a little bit concave below the height of your cheekbone.
Yeah.
That's where you're not seeing it. Yeah, your brain will come online.
I know, I'm so excited for that part.
Yeah, girl, you got like all the stars are lining up for you because all your anatomy is like just falling completely into place. You getting excited?
I'm getting so excited. We fly down on Thursday, so it's going to be more real once I get down there.
I'd expect you to have about 90% of your sensation back. Just be prepared You could have complete sensory loss. I guess it's a worst case scenario.
I had my planning session with my surgeon, and I have talked endlessly about how excited I was to see the 3D MD scan, and it was interesting to say the least. I really just sat like a fly on the wall having the engineer and my surgeon plan out my surgery and kind of talk about all of the like minute measurements, and seeing the 3D MD scan was a little jarring. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit of a jump scare because you can envision what you're gonna look like or how you're going to be after a surgery, but when you see it projected on screen, it is almost like you don't recognize yourself. There were still parts of me that I did recognize, but he is going to bone graft and then also do an annular stitch and then also a VY closure. So he's doing other things to my soft tissue that are going to help keep my proportions looking good, and that isn't shown on the 3D MD scan. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, like it just looked like the middle of my face was so sunken in, and I really didn't like that. But of course he reassured me that like this isn't exactly what I'm going to look like, it's just the jaw projection, and that is the main takeaway here. We were talking about how my brain's going to turn on and the breathing is going to be so much better, and I really can't wait for all of that. I would be lying if I said I wasn't getting nervous. I am dealing with a lot of kind of like interpersonal relationship issues. My mother is someone that I've had a turbulent relationship with for most of my life and all of my adult life, and she was going to come down and support me during my recovery. However, that isn't going to happen anymore. We're just not in a place where that's going to be beneficial for everyone. So that has been a roller coaster of emotions of, is she going to come? Is she not going to come? Am I going to have help? Am I not going to have help? Luckily, Eric is going to come down with me, but I think like in these moments, it's just really glaringly obvious how much of a like network and a family I don't have. I don't really have an extended family. My mother and I don't really get along all the time. My father is dead. Like it's just really tough in these like really big moments of your life to not have adults in your life. And I mean, I have friends, but friends have their own lives going on, so it's just really not the same. And I think that I keep seeing these TikToks about how you can't compare yourself to people with support systems, and it just makes me sad and grieve all over again when I'm going through these things. Like every surgery I've had, for the most part, I haven't really had anyone around me. And so it's just, it's tough going through the world alone. And so I don't want to allow that sadness and that grief to weigh on me super heavy for the surgery, because obviously I need to be in a good headspace and I need to be able to heal. So I have been going to acupuncture to kind of work through some of these things, to be able to allow my body to relax. I can tell I'm holding a lot of tension. Another thing about tension that I talked with my surgeon about is my clenching, and I was able to express to him that I'm clenching more, I'm not getting my masseter Botox, XYZ, and so he's going to inject masseter Botox during the surgery. He's going to do the surgery and then he's going to have that after, so that there's just really no way that anything can be disrupted. I'm getting custom hardware, so it would be unlikely that me clenching would change anything anyways. It would just be my SD card died, but essentially I was just saying that you want to be the most comfortable you can be when you are post-surgery. So Eric and I are trying to prepare ourselves as much as possible. We're one day before flying to Southern California. I'm about to go into an acupuncture appointment, and then once I get there, I'm also going to do some more acupuncture. Hopefully, I found a practitioner that I seem to like, and I'm probably going to do a little bit of IV therapy so that I can stay hydrated. My doctor and I did decide that I'm going to stop my spironolactone, which I'm taking for acne, and weirdly, it's just like on my neck, and the spironolactone is helping, and I've been doing tretinoin, but I need to stop that because it is a diuretic, and you need to make sure that you're super hydrated before surgery. So those are the kind of things that I'm prepping behind the scenes, but I will talk to you soon.